Hi, welcome everyone. Man, you talk about technical difficulties. We got a brand new computer for Christmas, was getting it all fired up, and I couldn't get into the room for some reason. I'm not sure what was happening there, but it was having to call Omaha in the middle of all that and get on my old computer. But we're here, and I'm excited for us to be here today. Really, I'm sharing with you something that I have been doing for 11 years, and I realized that I've never shared this part of what I do for goal setting. And I think it was something that was very personal to me, but it never, registered that I was never really sharing this with groups because it's not anything that's private. It was just something more that was personal in regards to how I stay tapped in to those goals that I set. This time of year, we talk quite a bit about. Some people talk about New Year's resolutions. I personally talk about goal setting for the upcoming year and being prepared for those, having those goals set, having them written, implementing them before the new year even starts. And one of the aspects of what I've done to encompass the goal and bring it all together was also being able to put a word around it, attach it to a word. And I started this, like I said, in 2014. And I'm going to give you some of the words that I've had over the years and the reason that I had those words, what was going on in my life and what was the importance of having that word. But part of it was creating a focus in regards to the overarching goals of what I had for the year and being able to put it in one word. And it kept me on track. And it was one of those things of when things got tough, when things were difficult, I could go back to that word and be focused in, and it'll get me back in alignment with what I needed to be doing. And I'll give you some examples of that. I want to show you some of the words from the past, and I'm going to actually share with you my word for 2025 and what it means to me and why I chose that word for myself. And how it's again the focal point. I actually did something a little bit different with the word this year, and I'll kind of explain that as well. But I want to just go through kind of 5 key points of why this is so important. I think we all get and understand the importance of goal setting and writing your goals down on a daily basis and reading them on a daily basis and reading them first thing in the morning, reading them the last thing at night, and staying truly dialed into them. But it's through the course of that day that's where the word would come in for me. That one word that I was using I had constant reminders. I have it on my phone. I have it a lot of times. It's been on my Facebook page. It's been, in the spaces that I'm in. So I'm constantly being reminded of what that word is and what it means to me. So again, helping to create that clarity and focus. And like I said, one of the things that I've done every year is when I choose a word, and let me just give you an example. My very first word, when I started this in 2014, I had just retired from the Denver Police Department. First time in my life, I am all on my own. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm self-employed, and I'm doing it all on my own. Everything is on me to be successful. And so with that being the case, what I realized is, okay, as a police officer, I was described as being tenacious. I was a narcotics detective, and I had a huge passion for working that area of law enforcement. And, I was described as being tenacious and having tenacity. So for the very first time that I've ever picked a word for the year, it was tenacity. But it wasn't for what I did previously. It was telling myself, okay, that same type of mentality that I had as a police officer and being tenacious, I got to apply that over here in business. And so tenacity was my word. And what it really required me stepping outside of my comfort zone. Again, I did something for 26 years a certain way. I was very comfortable and I was very good at doing it. And here it is, I was now jumping into another space that was, number one, it was scary because everything was on me. My income and everything that I was going to do was all subject to my activity, my behavior to get the results that I was looking for. So I knew that I needed to take what I was used to in one space and bring it over here. So that's why that became my word. And I wrote down pages of information of how I was going to be tenacious in my business for that year. So not only did I have the goals of what I was going to do, I had this word and I had a little bit of a blueprint of how I was going to go about doing it. And I can tell you, over the course of the year, some of those things changed. The blueprint changed because I found things that didn't work. I found things that did work. So I changed some of the things that were in the blueprint of how I was going to be tenacious, but the word stayed the same. So again, understanding that's the power of just having that one word and keeping focused on your goal. It also acts as a daily motivation. Like I said, I'm going to show you my word here in just a minute that's on my phone, but having it available to me on my phone, just in front of me, first thing when I wake up was something that was important when I first got started. It was very important to be able to have the word in front of me consistently, to be a constant reminder. It was that motivation. It was that inspiration. It was that thing that got me started first thing in the day. The visualization, and this is one of the things that if you've been in any of the trainings that I do, you know that I'm very much into visualization. I'm very much into the dreaming and seeing your future in the present, and being in your future in the present. And so that was another part of just seeing the word would put me in that place. So being able to understand, again, this one word has a lot of power behind it. And then it simplifies decision making. One of my mentors many years ago, probably right around 2012, 2013, told me that when you have, your goals set and you are focused on your goals, when there are distractions that come along, when there are other opportunities, or when there are, things that may be fun to do, or different things that come into your life that could take you off of your pathway in regards to achieving your goal, you have to be able to have some discernment and think to yourself, okay, does this help me get closer to my goal, or does it take me away? And so once again, having a one word, and when you're going to have things all year come up. You're going to have new business opportunities. You're going to have other real estate firms that are reaching out to you. You're going to have, distractions. You're going to have things that, can negatively affect life if you allow them to. And it's in those moments that when you can focus on the word, focus on your goals, it'll help you in the decision-making processes of how do I navigate this particular situation that has just come up. So from a decision-making standpoint, it's really going to simplify that for you. And then it creates an emotional and mental anchor for you. Many of you, if you've been in trainings that I've done, and I got a group of people this week. I got like 5 or 6 people that I'm in doing a private training with, where we are doing goal setting, and I'm scheduled to talk to each one of them individually this week, tomorrow, most of them tomorrow, in regards to their goals for 2025. And we start with the dollar amount with that goal, but then we take it to, okay, it's not about the money. I mean, the thing about, income and revenue and money is that when you get to the core of what it is that we're trying to do in life, it's, everyone's goal is not to make $1 million. It's not to make $100,000, whatever the case may be. It's what you can do with those funds that is really kind of where the goal lies. So what we do is we take the dollar amount and then we talk about, usually always that dollar amount is an amount that you've never made in your life, because we really want to stretch people. And then we talk about, okay, you're making that amount. What are you going to do with that money now that you're making it? How is it going to change your life? What differences are there going to be in your activity, in your lifestyle, all the things when you're making that amount of money? And they write all those different things down. And then we go to the next question of, who is it going to impact? Who are the people around you that are going to be affected by, now you're making that money, you're doing the things that you wanted to do. Usually it's their kids, their spouse, their parents, maybe grandparents, are affected. And then we get to the main one. And once again, this is visualization. We go through and explain, close your eyes and put yourself at the end of 2025. We're at December 31st, 2025, and you're looking back on your year and you're thinking to yourself, man, I did it. I achieved my goal. I achieved what I wanted to accomplish. And I made X amount of dollars. I made more than what I was expecting. And then I was able to do the trip that I've always wanted to do with my family. I was able to put money away for the kids' college fund. I was able to pay off debt. And it affected, my parents went on the trip with us. And, my kids were so happy to have some relief of knowing that college is going to be taken care of. And they had this amazing time on this trip. My spouse, told me how proud she is of me. And so visualizing it, putting yourself in the moment. And then I asked them to do this. I asked them to give me all the adjectives, give me all the words that come to mind of how it makes you feel to have achieved that as you're visualizing it. And it's, it's happiness, it's relief, it's joy, it's pride, it's a sense of accomplishment, all the different things that come to mind for someone. And I explain that's what we attach to. We attach to how it makes us feel. When you visualize it, because see, emotion drives motion. It drives action. It drives us to do certain things. You think about if something gets you angry, you have a reaction or a response to it. If something gets you sad, you have a reaction or a response to that thing. So we use that same emotion to drive us towards whatever our goal is. So again, when I talk about in that word, you want that word to be so attached to your goal that just by hearing the word, someone else can say the word. They have no idea it's your word for the year, but someone else says the word and it sparks something in you just like that. That's the point. That's the level that you want to take being able to be connected with this word. So I'm gonna share with you. Those are the 5 key points that I wanted to share. I want to share with you now just a little bit of have a better understanding of when I was picking words for the year and the process that I went through to choose a certain word. What that looks like. So I mentioned tenacity, and I kind of explained to you the backstory around that and why that was that word. The next word, the next year for me, the word was fearless. And the reason that I chose that word is because I realized that I spent a lot of my time in the military and as a police officer living in a fearless mindset of I truly, and I know people say this, but I truly was in this place. I was not afraid to die. I was never afraid to die. So I was never worried about dying in the job that I was doing at that time. So I lived a kind of a fearless mentality. Now I can tell you, since I'm not in that space anymore, and I had this goal of living X number of years, and it's triple digits that I plan to live into. I have a fear of dying. So that, but I'm driven by that fear. And how I'm driven by it is, again, looking at ways to do, things, a better light, healthy lifestyle. I don't take, for years, I wanted to jump out of airplanes. Now I have no desire to jump out of an airplane. I don't want to do things that could, cause my life to end abruptly. I don't want to do things that I'm not looking at my health from a better place than where I had in the past. But how did I apply it in 2015? I wanted to be fearless in my business. Because I realized, okay, I had this tenacity for 2014, but there were still some areas in my business where I was kind of afraid to step into those spaces. And so I told myself, okay, so the goals became the areas, there were, I was in a network marketing company, and I was doing much like what I do here, where I'm talking to people about an amazing opportunity. But I was selective on some of the people that I talked to. I would not talk to what we call the chicken list. These are the people that we're too chicken to call because we hold them on this higher pedestal. Maybe they're very successful in what they're currently doing. Maybe we're making a decision for them that they would never, join this business, or they wouldn't join it with us. And so I told myself, okay, there's no chicken list for me in 2015. And I'm going to be fearless in regards to talking to the people that I need to talk to. I'm going to be fearless about getting in front of a room. And it doesn't matter if it's 5 people, 500 people, 5,000 people, and being able to confidently discuss and talk about the opportunity that I have to present to people. So again, that was the process that I went through. And I had 2 pages of information as to how I was going to implement this blueprint of being fearless. Just to kind of give you an idea. So 2016 came along, and my word was discipline. Now, one of the things that's interesting with this particular word, I had it for 2 years straight because I didn't feel like I mastered it in 2015. And so it took me 2 years to feel like, okay, I really did what I was expecting myself to do by following that word. And for me, you think about when you say discipline, it's such a broad word because what are you disciplined in? And at that time, it was still being disciplined in my everyday activities in my business. But then I realized, okay, but wait a minute. I'm becoming very successful in this business, but my family life is suffering. My marriage at that time was, I was married to someone else at that time, and it was suffering because I was applying, I was being tenacious, and I was being fearless, and I was doing all these things over here, but I wasn't applying it to my marriage. I wasn't, giving the time that I needed to give to my kids. I wasn't giving the time that I needed to give to myself, and my health and all the different things, my spiritual side. So that's why it took me 2 years, because I was on a journey of being able to repair a lot of different areas of my life. And I had to be disciplined, not just in one area, not just in business and being successful in business, but all these different aspects of my life. And so it took me, really acknowledging, okay, we have some shortcomings in this area and we got to get better. And these are the things that we're going to have to do to get better. And we got to be disciplined in those areas to get better. So that's why it was my word for 2 years. So you can kind of get the gist of, again, creating the goals for yourself, finding the word that brings those goals all together, because that's the one thing that, like I said, first thing in the morning, it should be the first thing that you see or the first thing that you think about when you wake up in the morning, and it really sets you on the course of what it is that you need to do for the rest of your day. Just to give you a few more of my words, and some of you that know me, you'll be like, yep, I can see that. Dream was one of my words. And it was in a time many people have heard me talk about dreaming and dreaming big and then how to turn dreams into reality, taking the steps to be able to do that. Well, I had to go through a process myself of where, it was okay to be called a dreamer. I remember many years ago, it was almost an insult when people would say, "Oh, you're just a dreamer," because that, for me at that time, it implied that, yeah, you're dreaming. How people say you're dreaming. That'll never happen. Wake up, kind of deal. And now, if someone calls me a dreamer, my chest sticks out a little bit more. I wear that with pride. It's a badge of honor now because it was my word, and it was I was so focused on, okay, if this is the dream, let me make it a reality so I can prove to others that dreams do truly come true. And being able to focus on the word allowed me to then focus on those goals and work through that blueprint to be able to make the word a reality and become that dreamer. Greatness, was one of those words for me in 2020 when I released my first book, Ignite Your Greatness. Greatness was the word. And it was January 26th of 2020 when Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter crash. And it was in that moment that I was writing the last chapter of my book, and I couldn't figure out how to close this book out. And if you read that last chapter, the majority of that chapter is about his life, his 41 years of life, and how, we look at greatness. And what I understood, what I learned throughout the course of that year is in many instances, greatness is not something that we achieve. It's something that we reveal, meaning it's something that's already inside of us and we just reveal, we peel back the layers and we share it with the world. But again, it was the journey of 2020 that allowed me to really dial in and understand, that word itself. And it had helped me achieve some amazing goals that year. Because not only did I have a stellar year, as an author and as a speaker that year that went on into 2021, but I also had an amazing year in real estate when we're in the middle of a pandemic. The following year, and this is the last one I'll share with you, the following year was the word legacy. So it goes back to January 26th of 2020 when Kobe Bryant died in that helicopter crash. I realized the importance of legacy because what I realized is 41 years of life is all that he got. But he didn't waste a moment. He is the Buddha has a quote that Kobe used to use all the time. And he said, the quote is, our biggest mistake is that we think we have time. And understanding that quote, and that was how I finished the book, because again, I had some stumbling blocks and it was like, why do I think tomorrow is promised to me? Why do I think that if I'm going to leave a legacy, why do I think that I could just take my time doing it? So it put me in a place of a sense of urgency of being able to write that book. And then it was about creating a legacy. And a lot of times when we think of legacy, we think of what we leave behind to our children. Maybe it's from a monetary standpoint or from, a hereditary standpoint, how many grandkids and great grandkids and things of that nature. But what legacy came to mean for me is how many people in this world, there's 8 billion people on the planet. How many can I impact before I leave this world? And then what can I put in place that even after I leave this world, I'm still impacting people through audio, through book, whatever the case may be, I'm still having an impact on others. Because I can tell you, some of my greatest mentors, Napoleon Hill being one of them, I never met. He died 2 years after I was born, but I have read pretty much everything Napoleon Hill has ever put out and have a great understanding of his thinking that is really I've adopted much of that thinking. And so that's what legacy is being able to leave something behind that's going to impact the world for generations to come long after you're gone. So that became the definition of legacy for me. So what I wanted, and like I said, I was kind of sharing with you that each year I find the word and then I tie it to my goals and I write a couple of paragraphs, a couple of pages, whatever it takes to get the blueprint of how I implement that word on a daily basis. I did something a little bit different today. I'm going to see if I can show you my screen. This is my word for 2025 is dominate. And so what I did is I created an acronym around that word. Instead of doing the paragraphs or the pages, I created an acronym. And the reason I did that is because that's like, man, that's a pretty bold word. And if I share it with people, what are they going to think? And then I had to remind myself, okay, this is my word. It doesn't matter what other people think. And I want you to think about that for yourself as well. You can share it, with people if you want. You can keep it private. I always say, if you create a word for the year and you go through the steps that we're talking about, share it with your mentor, share it with your accountability partner so they can be in alignment with you in making sure that you're staying on track with that. So just to I'm not going to go through all the details. I'm just going to give you the acronym of the word here, and then we'll kind of close out from there. But the D is dream big for me. The O is own your vision. The N is master growth. The I is to inspire others. The N is network on a global scale. The A is act boldly. The T is transform lives. And the E is elevate success. Now, I want you to understand, when I chose this word, it was because of the fact that I'm making a move to San Diego in the middle of next year. This is a bold, this is acting boldly. And in order to be able to do it, I said, okay, I really have to take my agent attraction to a whole nother level. I have to dominate what I've done in the last 3 years. I have to blow that out the water. I have to dominate this year. That doesn't mean dominate the market. I'm not competing with other people, but I'm competing with the person that I've been for the last 3 years versus who I'm going to be in 2025 in regards to agent attraction. And when you go through now, I just gave you the words that are associated with each individual letter, but there's information that I have personally that goes deeper into those. But if you notice, all of those words really encompass the past 11 years of words that I've used previously. And so this is, for me, it's like everything has come together. Everything is now full circle. And all the work that I've done for the last 11 years of growth and growing my business in different industries and things of that nature is for this moment. And if I don't dominate, what I've done 11 years ago, if I don't do something amazing, then I'm falling short of all the goals. So again, that's how I have looked at, picking a word for the year. Would love to, I think we got something in the chat here. If anyone, before we jump off, if anyone has your word for the year, just drop it in the chat. Would love to hear about, what that word for the year is for you. And hey, feel free to reach out. I would love to have conversations around this. Like I said, I'm talking to quite a few people tomorrow, just in regards to their goal setting clarity. I love it. But if you need assistance with kind of going down this path, feel free to reach out. Would love to talk to you more about it. With that, we're right at the 9:30 mark. I'll keep this going just as we relentless. I love that consistency. Love it, Ed. So feel free to reach out, like I said. But in the meantime, we got a couple of more days before the new year. If you haven't figured out your goals, if you haven't figured out your word, you got time to do it. So like I said, feel free to reach out. Happy New Year, everyone. We will see you in 2025. Have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your year. Take care.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.